So here's a really wonderful and new approach for understanding mental health and addiction concerns that is really empowering and can really help people have much better outcomes. So let's really break down what is a mental health concern and what is an addiction, because it may not be what you think it is. Let me explain. So if you think of a mental health concern, it could be depression, anxiety, schizophrenia, bipolar, obsessive compulsive disorder, lots of different parts, some mix of these things, PTSD, and so on. They all have something in common, is that every one of them creates a very significant degree of distress in a person's life, and really makes it very difficult for them to function. So I want you to think about that if somebody had those symptoms, but they were not experiencing significant distress and significant difficulty in functioning in life, then those symptoms would just be some difficulty they have to manage and deal with in life. It wouldn't really be a mental illness anymore. It's important because the underlying problem for all of those things is this distress and difficulty. So that's the underlying problem with all mental health concerns. That's what defines it as a mental health concern. That's why it is a mental health concern. So let's talk about addiction as well. So this gambling, pornography, cocaine, heroin, alcohol, etc., shopping, etc., are addictions. These behaviors you continue to do despite really significant negative effects. But again, if we look at when it becomes an addiction, it is when, because of this behavior, that person is experiencing significant distress and some very significant difficulties in functioning in life. So again, if the distress and the difficulty of functioning is not present, it's not an addiction anymore. It's maybe just a bad habit or something we need to work on, but it's not an addiction. So now we can understand that both mental health and all the different ways it can occur, mental health concerns and addictions in all different ways it can occur, really are defined by this occurrence of a person experiencing really significant distress and difficulty in functioning in important life areas. Now, the research has a name for that, right? It calls it clinically significant distress. And the cool thing is the research shows this can be measured. It's very measurable. The level of clinically significant distress you're experiencing is something that there's many tools out there to actually measure. So what we can do now, when we understand this really more clearer understanding of what addiction and mental health concerns actually are, they really are just the occurrence of a clinically significant distress in a person's life. And we can realize and we can measure this. So whatever the mental health concern, whatever the addiction concern, if there's mental health and addiction concern present, we need to realize what's really occurring here is clinically significant distress. Let's respond to this. And that's what I do all the time when I'm helping people recover. I just realize I'm helping somebody who's going through a period of clinically significant distress, which is measurable. So we use a little tool to measure how much of it is occurring. And it's measurable in the intensity of it. It's measurable in when it's decreasing. You can see it on the chart. And it's measurable when it's no longer present. When clinically significant distress, that real difficult distress and real struggling in functioning in life is no longer present, it registers on these tools. And that's really cool. So that's what I do. I work with them. We discover different ways for working on their recovery, with a variety of concerns, and I help them get out as quickly as they can, out of the period of clinically significant distress, because not doing that is just unnecessary prolonged suffering. And it's really cool. And if you want a tool to help you measure the level of distress and difficulty, you can go to my website and download the recovery tracker. You can check out the book if you want to know more about how these tools work and about the research and stuff. It's all there. But let's say we have this new understanding. So where did this come from? This insight into what's going on? Well, it's just in the research. It's just right there. There's tools developed to do it. It's a well-proven approach. But why isn't it being used? Well, what's happened is we got stuck in the 80s as to how to approach mental health and addiction concerns. A certain approach got very popular, which is the best approach at the time. But there's been 40 years of research since then that's shown us more insight into it. And we're ignoring the research. And that's the problem. It's just not being used. It's right there. And the cool thing is, with this wonderful insight into helping people recover efficiently from clinically significant distress, by putting this research into action, we can just kind of have a huge impact across the world, change how we understand mental health and addiction concerns, and much more efficiently and straightforwardly deal with mental health and addiction concerns, and have much better outcomes and avoid prolonged suffering that isn't necessary by simply waking up to this research and putting it into action, and realize that we've been kind of operating on the same mode for 40 years because it got very popular and it was best at the time, but we've learned so much since then. And so let's embrace this and let's move forward into a new enlightened world where we can treat clinically significant distress quite straightforwardly by measuring it and helping people progress. And this is it's a wonderful time, and I think this is going to happen very quickly, possibly over the next year, that we'll just move on to this whole better way of helping people recover. And again, you know, you can use this for your own recovery, or you can use this approach to help a friend or a family member or a loved one recover. Just simply use the recovery tracker, help them plot their chart, work on consulting once a week to see how their progress is going in the recovery from clinically significant distress. And this is a great time, and something great is just about to happen.